morning, everybody. So let's move through to the next slide. That's me. So today's learning objectives, I'm just going to go through them fairly quickly because they were stated in the synopsis of the course. So basically, we're going to define the purpose of a quality agreement, look at the differences between a quality agreement and a contract for services, and they are quite different. And then we're going to identify some of the critical factors that need to be addressed so that a quality agreement is effective. We're going to talk about and evaluate who's responsible for developing quality agreements. We're going to determine who's responsible for enforcing quality agreements. Because we know if you've got an agreement and it is not followed through, then there's issues, right? And then strategies for managing reticence from vendors about quality agreements. This is a reality, and we do need to talk about it. Then we're going to determine, in general, when quality agreements should be developed and agreed upon. It is not for all situations where you deal with vendors. And then explore the content of quality agreements. So let's get right to it and define the purpose of a quality agreement. So let's find out what it is first. So it's an agreement which already tells you that it's a little bit more formalized than the nod of a head or a handshake. So it's a document so it's documented what you've agreed upon formally between the company, the sponsor in your case, and your vendors or your contractors. And it spells out what regulatory standards, responsibilities, etc., are going to prevail in that agreement. It goes further, and we're going to get into this further down into the slides. It describes the scope of the quality oversight activities. A quality agreement is very typically from QA of the sponsor to the QA of the vendor. And so that we are all on the same page here. It's a term borrowed from GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices. And many of the GMP ideas, twists on standards have become part of the GCP, Good Clinical Practices world. And this in particular, I think is very helpful. And the way I've seen it employed has been very helpful. So why do we do it? It provides a quality framework for services. Again, it describes the standards, the expectations. What are the responsibilities? And further into the slides, we'll talk about how those responsibilities can be spelled out between the sponsor and the vendor. And it's about and how it relates to managing quality of the vendor's performance under a master contract. So let's think about a master contract or master agreement. Some places call it master services agreement, and this quality agreement. They are not the same thing. It's quality assurance, QC, and quality risk management are all components of this quality agreement. So how? It outlines basically the processes that the two parties are going to use, and sometimes three, we use to confirm alignment with whatever the prevailing standards, regulations, etc. are. And if you look at the fourth bullet, SOPs, this comes into very serious play when you are working with, I'm just going to say, let's say a CRO for site management. They're handling project management, site management. Whose SOPs are going to be followed in what instances? Is it a blanket for the CROs? All of the CROs will be followed? Will it be some of the sponsors? SOPs that will be followed and in what instances? Or will there be hybrid SOPs that will be developed specific to this quality agreement, either for a therapeutic area, a set of studies, or a study? So obviously it outlines the quality processes that are going to manage communication, the escalation process, the reporting procedures for quality and compliance issues. So as I'm describing these things, you're getting a feel that this is very definitely different than a master services agreement. And let me just add, if anybody has a question at any time, please just unmute your phone and ask the question. The interruption will not affect me. And I hope I can answer your question. So what's the purpose of a quality agreement? So who's involved in this quality agreement? So again, it describes the general responsibilities and the working relationship between the vendors and the sponsors' team members. More specifically, we'll get to that. More specifically, it outlines the roles and responsibilities of the vendor's quality management and quality assurance and the sponsor's clinical quality personnel.